In 2024, the UK Conservative Party returned just 121 MPs to Parliament. In the span of 5 years, half of their entire 2019 voting coalition fractured. This chart shows pre-election ratings. The Conservatives faced massive deficits against Labour on basic governing traits, specifically competence and honesty. This decline tracks back to midterm events. Partygate eroded their integrity, and the 2022 mini-budget collapsed their economic standing. This collapse in competence and trust left the remaining coalition fragmented and highly susceptible to defection. This Sankey diagram maps exactly where those voters went. The Conservative vote broke apart along 4 intersecting demographic axes: age, income, geography, and Brexit preference. This created a severe 4-way pincer movement. First, we track the voters heading to the Labour Party. These were predominantly younger, urban voters shifting left to end the political instability. Next, high-income suburban homeowners and moderate Remainers. Rejecting populist rhetoric, this cohort flowed to the Liberal Democrats. The largest volume of defectors moved to Reform UK. This group comprised older, working-class Leave voters in the C2 social grade, leaving over high immigration numbers and strained public services. Finally, looking at the thick gray path at the bottom of the diagram, a significant portion of the 2019 base chose not to vote at all. In the UK's first-past-the-post system, losing votes in 4 different demographic directions simultaneously strips away majorities in traditional safe seats and key marginals alike. To understand how a party recovers from a fragmented map like this, we have to isolate the super demographic. These are the specific voter traits that create the most geographically efficient and reliable Conservative base. First, these voters are over 65 years old, and they own their homes outright. They are Brexit supporters. They do not have a university degree, they live outside dense urban centers, and they belong to the C2 working-class social grade. The mass defection of these specific super demographic voters, primarily to Reform UK, stripped the mathematical efficiency out of the Conservative voting coalition. Think back to the 4 defector streams we just mapped. Which specific groups must the party target first to rebuild this exact demographic profile? The raw number of lost voters matters less than where those voters live. Reclaiming these highly efficient super demographic groups is the mandatory first step to mathematical recovery. The data dictates a 2-front approach. The party must target Reform UK and Liberal Democrat defectors simultaneously, prioritizing them over the larger pool of voters who shifted to Labour. These 2 defector groups are mathematically crucial because they share strong demographic markers with the remaining Conservative base. They hold similar economic beliefs, and they share a mutual dissatisfaction with the current Labour leadership. Winning back these divergent groups at the same time requires tight policy triangulation. The polling data isolates 2 main policy levers. The party must drastically reduce immigration to bring back the Reform defectors, while concurrently committing to increased investment in the NHS and public services to satisfy the Liberal Democrat defectors. And binding these 2 promises together is the absolute necessity of demonstrating baseline economic competence. But the data also contains a strict boundary condition. Moving too far toward a reform-style populist platform risks pushing away the moderate Liberal Democrat defectors needed to rebuild the majority. Recovering from a loss of this scale requires specific, data-driven choices. The path back relies on uniting a fractured super demographic core through a focused shift on immigration, the NHS, and economic competence.